Hello, everyone, and welcome to Web Sleuth's YouTube Live. This is Stacy, the executive producer for Trisha Griffith. Trisha's not here tonight because she's on a little trip. But we have Ping the Router here, which you all know him. He has the amazing channel Nights with Ping.
Hey, good to
And
see you all.
yeah, and we'll be posting his channel throughout the chat tonight for those who do not know the magic of Ping. So we're going to start off with a quick Lori Daybell update because there's not much going on, but today was day 2 of jury selection. And the jury has been picked. So according to Megan Connor's ex-post, now remember, Megan Connor is Lori Vallow's cousin, who's at the trial right now. Megan says, we have a jury in the Lori Vallow Daybell trial. Juror 38, who had seen info about the case, and all jurors not in the box were excused. The clerk renumbers the jurors. There are 12 jurors and 4 alternates. They are overwhelmingly male, but there's a fair mix of ages. So, Lori's probably a little excited right now, thinking that, okay, there's a lot of men there. They're going to fall for my charms. We'll see.
I don't know about
Well,
that.
yeah. Well, what she's thinking and what they're thinking are two different things because we all know they're going to see something completely different than what she thinks. She thinks she might, maybe she thinks she has a chance because of that, but I don't think it's going to make one bit of difference. So just 2 days, they got the whole jury. That was pretty impressive. So the next step will be opening statements. So I haven't heard for sure if that starts tomorrow or if they're going to plan it for next week. So hopefully tonight before this is over, I hope to find out. And
You know,
now,
I think that
go ahead.
that NBC documentary she did a couple of weeks ago with
Yeah.
was it Dateline?
Yeah.
I think it tells you everything you need to know about how this is going to go.
Yes. Not very well. Especially after the last hearing in front of the judge, I saw her starting to fall apart a bit. And so I, I thought she would be a little more prepared. So I guess she just thinks she is. I don't think it's going to go very well. There's going to be a lot of issues, in my opinion. So we'll
You
have to
know, there's
see.
a little video I can play from today for the jury selection if you want.
That'd be great. And I'll put this up. Ladybug Toes said she heard Monday for opening statements.
Monday. All right.
Yeah.
All right, here. Watch this video from today.
Mhm.
It's day 2 of jury selection in Arizona for Lori Vallow Daybell's first of 2 trials. And the judge overseeing the trial says that he believes the jury will be seated today, and the trial is expected to start on Monday. Vallow Daybell is accused of conspiracy to commit murder in the death of her 4th husband, Charles Vallow. He was found dead in their Arizona home in July of 2019. Lori's brother, Alex Cox, shot and killed Vallow, claiming self-defense. He was never charged and died later that year, reportedly of natural causes. Lori will be representing herself during this trial. And again, the trial is expected to start on Monday.
There you go, the Monday.
Yeah.
So that's
Nice.
confirmed now.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm also very ready for the majority of this to be over. I think the family would like that too. I think they would like to stop being in court and being it's sort of harassment from Lori Vallow. It's basically what she's trying to do. This is her power play by representing herself. It's her way to get to the victim's family, basically.
Yeah. And then she tried to have Kay excluded, period.
Yeah,
From
that's ridiculous.
right. That was a power play right there for sure. That was crazy. Um,
I know, and when you go back to that Dateline thing that I was talking about before, and you
mhm.
hear her at the end, and she's like, "We're going to be vindicated. We're going to be vindicated. We're going to walk out of here together." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, you let this person fend their own defense. This person who thinks they will be vindicated. I mean, we all got to have dreams, but
Yeah.
that seems like something else.
Man. That it is something else. And now I forgot. I wanted to share something I felt was important in regards to this, and of course I forgot. Lovely. So, gosh darn it. Um, yes, Amy 007, I feel Lori is vindictive as well. But yes, she is representing herself. The trial is, as so far, it's going to be streamed, and we'll all get to see what happens. Um, and I cannot think of the other thing I was going to talk about. So, any other words on Lori?
Not from me. I haven't been really covering Lori Vallow. I stopped covering it about a year ago.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, I keep up with it, but I'm not in depth on it, and I won't be following this particular trial either. But I will say that it's been a long, what is it now? 2019, what, like five,
Hmm.
6 years, something like that,
Yes.
since
And
since it was
yeah,
first reported.
yeah. And I know there are people that are tired, sick and tired of hearing about Lori, and I don't blame you. But it is a case we followed from the beginning, so we're going to follow it through. It's a very important case because of the victims in this case. People need to remember them, and there needs to be justice for them. And she's in the news again, and it is a new trial, so we will be discussing her again. So,
And uh, her ex-husband, or whatever you want to call him,
mhm.
he deserves justice too. He often gets forgotten about a lot of the time.
Yeah,
The children often get a lot of the focus, which, and rightly so. But I feel like often he gets like pushed to the edge, and people are like, oh, and Charles, oh yeah, he died
yeah,
too.
yeah. Uh, and if Charles hadn't been killed, he might have saved those children. This we might not be here. You know,
Well, he
Roy
he tried. He
Charles.
tried at least once, very
Yeah,
seriously, to get her put
hmm,
away. So.
yeah, and Charles's family and Lori's family. Megan and stuff wouldn't be going through this right now because I think Charles, if he would have lived, maybe it wouldn't have happened, and that's just such a shame. So, yeah.
I wonder if that actually, it shows like a prejudice when men come forward to, if you imagine the situation would be reversed, right?
Hmm.
So they're in Arizona and the situation's the other way around. A wife comes forward to talk to police about her husband, and he's talking all this crazy stuff, and, he needs some sort of help. And I think he might hurt someone, or, whatever. I think it would have been taken completely differently. The fact that this guy came through and tried to do that, it just was sort of not taken as seriously, I think, as if it was the opposite way around. And it was not brushed off. It wasn't given the seriousness that I think it probably deserved.
That's a really great point. Though I know from the law enforcement side, when people present to you and you have to evaluate them. Lori knew what she was doing, and from what I saw, and so there's at that point there's nothing they can do unless they have evidence that she's a danger to herself or others. And if she doesn't show that during their interview, their hands are tied. You know.
Yeah, there is those. Pretty sure there's videos of her interviewing for
Yes.
that occasion,
Yep.
and she plays them like a fiddle. So
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." Like,
Yeah, they didn't have anything well, it's not, unfortunately, in this case it's unfortunate, but in normal day-to-day life, police can't, if somebody comes up to the police station, Ping, and they're all, okay, Ping is saying this and doing that and gonna hurt this person, hurt that person. The police just can't take their word and go take that person and throw them in jail. Fortunately for us, because there's some pretty crazy neighbors and stuff out there, neighbor issues I've seen. Like everybody would be in jail if that's how it worked. Because somebody would have a beef with somebody and go accuse them of something falsely. In this case, it wasn't false, but they were limited on what they can do without the proof. So it's, I don't know. I hope, I don't know if they have done an investigation into. that, or if they're going to exactly, if they followed protocol, if there was anything else that could have been done. But like I said, their hands are tied to a point, you know.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not sure if I heard anything about them actually
hmm
investigating that aspect of it, but I don't know. It just feels like he tried,
yeah,
and what he got in return for it was, you know, killed. Basically, that's what he got in return. He became whatever they called it, their version of a problem, and the
yeah,
problem was eliminated.
yeah. See, that's the thing. I mean, when they
It's
talk to
day two of
Charles,
jury
and Charles is talking about all that stuff, and then they talk to Lori, and Lori presents as normal and answers the questions properly and all that sort of thing. They might be thinking Charles is a crazy one because you know how relationships are. Sometimes there's a crazy one, just trying to be vindictive and without any other evidence, that's all they had,
And
you
then
know.
you get into stuff like coercive control, and people
Yes.
can make it seem like the opposite when it's not. And
Yes.
yes, you have those type of issues.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can we see that stuff all the time. People could just be normal and not lie and tell the truth. None of these problems would happen, but I don't see that ever happening. Everybody being honest.
I don't think that's going to be a world we live in. I think the world
Yeah,
has already demonstrated that people can't
exactly.
tell the truth even in the best of times.
Yep, right. James Avery, it's for a jury to decide if they're charged. So, the district attorney has the right to just make a judgment on if it was justifiable, and if it's justifiable, then he doesn't bring it to trial. So they charge it based on the evidence they have. If they had evidence of murder, say, then they would charge him with murder and it would go to a jury. But the district attorney gets to decide, okay, is this justifiable? Or do we have evidence of another crime here that we could charge him with? So, you know.
By the way, I changed the page just so it wouldn't play that video again.
Oh,
I was just like, I'll just change it so it doesn't interrupt the show.
yeah. So, you ready to move on to Emily? Because this is a big one.
Yeah, sure. I
It's,
think
yeah.
so. Um,
You want to
that
lead
search
this?
for her, is still ongoing. I don't know what you think, insightful one,
Mm,
but it's one nice to see so many volunteers come out and search for the rest of the remains of her.
yes.
It's disturbing to me that they can't find them.
Right. Uh, they might. Oh, God. Yeah. I. They don't have. Do you know if they have any kind of digital evidence?
So
Have
I
they
know they
pinged
got
phone towers to
CCTV.
see activity in areas or?
They've got some sort of footage of her on CCTV, but I don't know anything else about whether they're probably looking at it, but I haven't
Mm,
got anything specific that says that they're doing anything like with cell tower. Or I mean, it's a normal investigative step would be to try and mine that source of information. So
yep.
I'm guessing they'll try. What I find interesting is though, still to today, I'm pretty sure they haven't released publicly that CCTV of Emily. At least if I'm not talking out of my butt, I'm pretty sure. Just let me double check. I don't think they have.
Yeah. Yeah. This is
Yeah, I don't think I
bad.
have it. No, I don't
Yes.
have anything
So
that I would have. So I'm not sure why that hasn't been released
let
publicly, but
me
it,
see.
I don't know, might jog someone's memory. Might they might be like, hey, I saw that girl there. Um, Either way, the fact that I keep pointing out on my channel is there's a person out there in Arizona, in Phoenix, who is okay with taking a 14-year-old girl off the streets and dismembering her and dumping her out in the desert, and they're just wandering around the community. So
Right. Right. And, like you said, it might jog somebody's memory. And that's what I love, like in Australia and in the UK, you guys will do like real life recreations out there for people. People drive by and say, oh, that's, like when they did with Daniel.
Daniel Morecombe, when they did the caravan.
Yes, that's one example. And that one, which was a great one. And that's what led to them finding his killer, isn't it?
Sorta. There was a few things that went into
Hmm.
that, but they don't do that in America. Like you guys don't do like reenactments or like dress a mannequin up in the last scene clothing.
No, we don't do that as a regular thing. I know the boy in the box, they did it with photographs. Um, but like in the UK that time with the Moors murders, and they did a recreation of one of the little boys. I don't know if it was Johnny Kilbride. I think it might have been Johnny, or hope I don't mix his name up. And they did a recreation of the last place he was seen live so people could view it, and they showed it on television, to help jog
Okay.
people's memories. That's such a great idea.
Yeah, I do have a photo of the Daniel Morecombe one. So
Hmm.
they set it up with a kid about the same height wearing similar clothing, and they just left it in the same location with cops nearby. And when people came through, if they
Hmm.
remembered anything, they could tell them, "Hey, I saw that kid there, like like a month ago, a year ago." They did it a few times, but yeah, that's their little not a reenactment. I think they called it a caravan, and they set it up and were hoping that people would call in because it's quite a busy road where Daniel went missing from. It's one of the main highways near Maroochydore,
Hmm.
and there would have been hundreds of cars going through here to Nambour about every hour. There would have been hundreds. So and it was during the day, so people should have been able to see him.
Right. See, I don't know what it's called when they do an actual display. I know when they do a reenactment, it's filmed. It's called a reenactment, like they show it they'll show things like that on Unsolved Mysteries, reenactments of what happened. But this, in the case here with Daniel, it was an actual display,
Yeah,
of
that's
something. I
right.
don't know the proper word for it, but that's ingenious.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. Give me a sec. You keep going. You can talk about Emily. One second.
Yes, I'm sure everybody, well, I'm not sure. For everybody who's not familiar with Emily, you'll just say she was a 14-year-old girl who was living at a group home. Um, she left from that group home and was missing. And what was it? Excuse me. 3 weeks later, they found her remains. She's been dismembered, so they found part of her. So right now, there's volunteer group that is trying to find the rest of her. So I don't think they're going to stop. They're going to look everywhere to try to find her, which is, I think, is really great.
All right. Hey, let's show them that video. Let me take them there so they
Perfect.
can watch the update on Emily Pike. It only
Perfect.
came out like about an hour and a half ago on News 12 out of Arizona. So here we
Okay.
go.
And thank you, C. Cheeto. I appreciate that.
Is the question that has people scouring the forest where part of her remains were found. That search happening today just northeast of Globe. 12 News journalist Sean Bryce has joined those searches and is live with what their message is today. Sean?
Yeah, Caribe, good evening to you. Today's search here northeast of Globe was as much symbolic as it was physical. 14-year-old Emily Pike's remains, specifically her torso, her head, and her legs, were all discovered right here behind me in this forest area just off Highway 60 back on February 14th. And the goal of today's search was to make her whole, specifically find her arms and her hands. I'm told that's a discovery that would bring some needed closure to Emily's family.
Just to be here in presence really helps a lot with that healing and with that closure.
The forest grounds off Highway 60 may yield clues to help answer this question: who killed Emily Pike?
She was placed here like garbage. She's not garbage. She's a beautiful human being.
Pike went missing from a Mesa group home in late January and was never seen or heard from for over 2 weeks. Then came the grim discovery by a pair of hikers. Emily's dismembered remains discarded in black trash bags.
On this type of case, it takes a special kind of evil to do what's been done here.
Tuesday, members of the sheriff's office and the Gila County attorney offered their support to the searchers. Gila County Lieutenant James Lottie says they are pursuing every lead possible to find Emily's killer, but at this point, do not have any solid suspects or persons of interest.
Don't think that this doesn't affect us and that we don't care. You know, we're here to do a job, and our job is to find out who did this to Emily, and we really want to see whoever that is caught and brought to justice.
That presence near Emily's final resting spot, serving as a message to her friends and family. She may be gone, but her memory never will be.
For myself, knowing that we're out here, and also for Emily, knowing that she's not forgotten.
Now, at this point in their investigation, the Gila County Sheriff's Office tells me their message to the public is simple. See something, say something. If anyone in the Mesa area saw Emily Pike between January 27th, when she was reported missing, and February 14th, when her remains were found here, they are urged to contact the Gila County Sheriff's Office. They tell me at this point, any additional leads they receive will bring them one step closer to finding Emily's killer.
Yeah, so I know we looked it up on when I did a show on my channel, but we showed the distance. It's about an hour away. So she went missing from Mesa, and she was found outside of Globe. The place she was found, if I might be able to show you Globe. Sorry, no. Let me find it on the map. It's this little like road coming out of the town, but she was found up here. There's like a turn off. Here, I'll take you to the map. If I can find the correct one. It's sort of like a bendy road, and then there's a area up here that looks like a here. It's right here. So this is where her body was found, out near Highway 60, outside of Globe. And if I zoom out a little bit, you'll see we go out. It's quite a distance out of the town.
Right.
Wait, correct. So if we go down here, go all the way down. This is Globe down here, and Gila County. So she was found all the way up Highway 60, down near this bend, right here. It looks like it's used quite frequently. You can see tracks, and they're even indicated on Google. Don't know if these are fire tracks or like walking tracks, but whatever they are, they're used quite frequently. And you can see there's a lot of tire impressions through here. So people come through here at least somewhat regularly. And probably that's why she was discovered. But you can imagine being dumped out in this area so far away from Mesa, Arizona. It's like, why was she out there? Why so far away from home? That type of thing. So, did I kill Insightful One? She's in the chat, but she's not here.
Oh no, I'm here. I was listening to you because
Oh,
I have
okay.
questions for you.
Hold on. I can't hear you now. Hold on, guys. I have to find my headphones.
Uh-oh. He broke it.
Yeah, I broke it.
Yep, he broke
So
it.
yeah, if we zoom out from there, I can show you. So that's where they found her. This is Globe down here. And if you ask me where Mesa is, I don't really know. But there's Phoenix. So you can see quite a distance away from the main city out in Arizona. Really out in, well, there's reservations and desert, trailheads. It's rural desert area. That's what I would call it. Pretty not a place a 14-year-old girl should be, found. Yeah, let me see if anyone's got any. Hey, Humanimal, how are you? Someone who can do this to Emily is probably a repeat offender or repeat predator. I agree. I think you don't just walk out one day and go, yes, what I'm going to do today, I'm going to abduct a 14-year-old and I'm going to cut her into pieces and scatter her all around, Arizona. I don't think that's what people just go off to do in a Sunday afternoon. Let's see. Hey, Rachel. I'm scared her remains could be hours away if they got back on the highway. That highway 60 goes like everywhere. I think if we followed it one time, it goes up into like Oklahoma and it just keeps going through different states, New Mexico, I think up into maybe even Colorado. But yeah, they're interstates for a reason. They go to different,
Right.
places.
I haven't followed that one for. I've only been to Arizona once, and I was in Oatman, Arizona, and King City. It's the only time I've been there, so I've never been to Mesa. So,
Can't
but
remember if I went to Mesa when I was there, but
yeah, there's a lot out there. I mean, there's a lot of places to get rid of people. There's a lot of places out there to. Your car breaks down and you're kind of screwed. But luckily, we have cell phones now. But of course, obviously, I'm thinking that, like everybody else, somebody with a vehicle picked her up. And so it would behoove somebody in the area to go around at where, by the home and see what kind of CCTV cameras are around there, you know?
I can take you out. Hold on, I could probably take you out. It's Mesa Drive and McKillips, I think.
Mm,
Let me see. Let's go to. There's heaps out there.
yeah.
There's Phillips and Mesa. So, I mean, there's a lot out here. You got
Yeah.
like a hotel, a Mexican food, fast food place. There's like all these companies and things like that. A
Mm,
truck clinic, whatever that is. Probably where you take your truck when it's sick, get some vitamins. And Palm Harbor Estates. I'm guessing it's like a retirement home or something, housing estate. But there's a lot of people around here. Like it's a
mhm.
city. You got
Yeah.
even a part of a middle school, maybe. What is that?
Mm,
Okay,
yeah.
M-
What is it?
it says McKillips Middle School,
Mm,
but that's the smallest building I've ever seen for a middle school. Maybe it's a temporary one or something. But yeah, so this is where they said she was last seen out here on Mesa and McKillips. But
hmm
the group home, I'm not going to actually show you where it is, but it's back here, back in these housing areas back here,
Yeah.
somewhere back here. So I'm guessing they gave this location on around here because it's probably the closest main road to the group home, and they probably didn't want to dox the group home because there's other children staying there now. So for security reasons, they probably gave this location, is what I'm guessing.
Right. Now, Bipolar Express says that her husband says that's a bad area. And what? It's called Apache Junction.
Apache Junction. Okay.
Yeah.
Joe Neal says Mesa isn't really that bad. Stranger danger. Yeah, I don't know what it's like. Sienna said there is a memorial in the front yard of where she lived. There is. Did they put one up? They
Mhm.
also did that really big one. If I can find it, it was in the front of that video we watched before. They did this giant painting on the reservation, if
Mm.
on like a grain tower or a water tower. Here,
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
They did this big mural of
Yeah.
her as well, which is really cool. I like that one. Um, yeah, the home she stayed at has been in a couple of other police incidents over the last like 5 years, and
Mm-hmm.
then they tried to come out and explain it away that, oh, you're dealing with troubled kids, they'll always be involved in like going missing and things like that, and their answers were so either sanitized or just they just didn't seem right. they did this interview with one of the local news stations down there, and they were basically trying to explain away why they had so much police activity with the children who had been under their care.
Right. I wonder how that activity in their group home compares to others in the area. Because, they're right to a point. When you have group homes, there are a lot of runaways. There's a lot of issues that arise. And, but we know with Emily that this was something different. She was found dismembered, deceased, obviously, and dismembered. So that's wasn't, that's a little different. Even
She
if
was
she
a
was
repeated
running them.
runaway, though.
Yeah. So what I think, just so far from what I know, I'm thinking she was lured out, So obviously the police are going to be checking any kind of digital, her phones, any internet she had access to, because obviously she met somebody intentionally or, accidentally hopped upon somebody. But I think since she left and went missing from that area, I think she was picked up. It was like a plan to meet somebody.
It was definitely a plan to meet someone. One of the other girls who was staying at the home said that she wanted to meet up with a boy.
Mm,
And it was very close to Valentine's Day as well.
yes.
So I don't know if it had something to do with that, but there was definitely a suggestion of her wanting to meet up with someone.
Ah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so I don't know if she met up with someone who had been grooming her or fell in with the wrong people online and maybe they
Right.
were older than she was, or could be something like that.
Right. Yeah. I see, way more about this case than I do. I just know the basics. I hadn't heard that before, that there was a plan to meet up with somebody.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what else did they say? That she'd done it before, she'd run away before, and,
Hmm.
something about wanting to be back on the reservation too. I don't know if it's
Oh,
connected to this particular one, but I know that she had wanted to leave the group home in the past and head back to living on the reservation.
I don't
So
blame her. So, do you know? Okay, so this group home, it wasn't specifically for Native American children, it was for all children, right?
I believe so. I think they said they did have a high number of,
Hmm.
Native American children who stay there, but it wasn't, like, exclusively for them.
So that
But,
would have been due to demographics then of the
I'd
area.
say so, I'd
Oh,
say
yeah.
so. And they did say here on this other article a couple of weeks ago, Emily Pike case, DCS opens licensing inquiry into Mesa Group Home where girl lived before she was found dead. Now, a few years before that one, someone in my chat said there was another incident where two girls had run away or left the group home, and they were found dead in a underpass, like under a bridge type thing,
Yes. Yeah.
and they had been they said they died from drowning and alcohol poisoning. It was a very strange uh, set of deaths for two young girls.
Right. I did hear there was previous instances of a girl dying from that group home.
And then there's another girl who has not been located and has been missing for a couple of years. And the group home, when they were answering questions with the news agency said there's a report out there saying that there's over 30 children missing from the group home. Can you confirm this? They said that they either knew where all the children were or they were at the home. And
Hmm.
then the news agency found out that they were lying because this one girl has been missing for like a couple of years. Like they haven't been able to find her.
Wow. Wow. The reservation is a whole different environment. And
Yeah,
depending
give
on
me a
your
sec.
situation, yeah, for some people, it's a great experience. And for others, it's not a great experience. My sister is Native American, half, obviously, or half sisters. My first husband was Native American and he lived on a reservation, so he was adopted from a reservation. But it all depends on, just like in any family who you're living with, what kind of family you have, things like that. But usually, a lot of people I know had great experiences due to their family on reservations. I could see her wanting to run away and go home. You know, maybe
Yeah,
this person promised to take her. I mean,
I think that's a natural feeling when you're
yeah,
outside of your environment and you're living in a group home.
yeah,
Sometimes, as a kid who grew up in a group home, I can tell you that
hmm
it's a pretty common feeling to be like wanting to go back to an environment that's not healthy for you because it's all you know.
right.
So you would rather go back to it even though it's the worst place for you than to stay in the place that's safer for you because it's less familiar. But once you break through that familiarity thing and you're there for a while, that
Uh-huh.
feeling starts to subside.
Oh,
So,
really? Yeah, and I
yep.
know my friends that still go back to reservations and stuff because they have rituals and dances and festivities they do for their culture, and a lot of times that's when you're put into a different environment away from what you're used to. Say you're used to your traditional dances and gatherings and celebrations, it could be a culture shock because things were so different. It all depends on what her life was like before the group home, you know.
Well, she was removed for a reason. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, let me play you that video about the other girl missing from the same place.
great.
New at 10, as the investigation into the murder of 14-year-old Emily Pike continues, we're uncovering more about the Mesa group home where she was living before she was killed. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. For 12 News at 10, I'm Kariva Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. Thanks for joining us. Emily Pike went missing from the home in late January. And tonight, we're learning another teen from that same group home has been missing now for nearly a year.
12 News journalist Bianca Bono is joining us live from the newsroom to explain. Bianca?
Well, shortly after Pike's remains were found, we learned from Mesa police that they had taken 30 missing persons reports stemming from that same group home over the past 3 years. So we asked if any of those cases remain open today, and we learned that one does. According to the Mesa Police Department, another teenage girl is missing from the same group home where Emily Pike was living before she was murdered and has been missing for close to a year. Emily Pike was last seen in January in the area of McKellips Road and Mesa Drive after leaving the group home. And on Valentine's Day, the 14-year-old girl's remains were discovered in trash bags an hour and a half away in a remote area near Globe. After Pike's horrific death, Mesa police confirmed over the past 3 years, they've taken 30 missing persons reports involving residents of that same group home, and one of those residents remains missing to this day. 17-year-old Veronica Cruz was last seen on May 18th last year around 4:55 p.m., reported missing by group home staff. Her photo and information featured on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's website. But despite that, when 12 News reached the group home's CEO for comment about Cruz's whereabouts, she said she believes Cruz is safe, though she does not know who Cruz is with or where she is. She added that Cruz turns 18 next month. When 12 News followed up with Mesa Police, asking about the CEO's statement, a police spokesperson said an investigator needs to physically see that Cruz is okay before changing any case status. And due to her age, which is still 17, she would have to be taken to her guardian and not just released. Mesa Police encourages anyone with information about her whereabouts to call them and let them know. And I did follow up with the group home CEO asking if any efforts are being made to get Cruz back into the care of either the home or a guardian. She has not responded to that question. DCS has
You know, that's it's very interesting some of the wording they did at the end of that one. They're basically saying, "Oh, she's so close to 18. She's going to be out of the system, in a few months anyway. Who cares?" And again, I can tell you from being in the system, 18, I don't know if it's the same in Arizona, but in Australia, when you start to approach your 18th birthday, they start to sort of like prepare you for basically kicking you out of the system
Yeah,
because once you hit 18, you're no longer their problem anymore.
yeah. I know my friend who grew up in a group home, which I've talked about her before. When she was two or three, her parents, her dad had set her on fire. She wet the bed, and it was a case of ritual abuse, according to the Reader's Digest, which did a long story on her. So when she turned 18, yeah, she was just dumped out of the system, and that was here in California. So
So very similar.
yeah,
Yeah, they basically 18th birthday, they're like, get out.
yeah,
Yeah, you age out of the system. Yep.
exactly. That's what they call it. Yes.
Humanimal said that is bad. Another Veronica Cruz. It definitely seemed like the comments were very blasé, like, oh, she's gone. Oh, we think she's safe. They're like, have you seen her? They're like, no. Do you know where she is? No. How do you know she's safe? And that's what the cops were trying to say in their statement. They're like, we have to witness her. We have to talk to her and see her in person before we will change anything on her case file to being, found or safe. It's interesting that that group home was very pushy on that. They're like, oh yeah, we know she's safe. Well, how can you know that for a fact when you haven't seen her, talk to her, or know where she is?
They're probably going by previous incidents, but you really can't, because you just really never know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
and
isn't uncommon. For example, they say there's something like, what is it, Ping? I can't remember the number. 200 or 300,000 missing people reported each year in America, but not all those people are actually like missing. Some are, a lot of runaways, and it gets resolved very fast. And some people take off, they just don't want to talk to their family for a while. And not all of them have been abducted by a stranger or murdered and things like that. So it sounds like it is a high number, but most of them are resolved just fine. So
there's
and
different categories of
yeah,
missing people. Like, there's like self
exactly.
missing, there's abduction, that type of missing. Even with the Amber
Yeah.
Alerts, like we get the Amber Alerts come in. Like I look them up every day for my channel,
Hmm.
and sometimes I have them on my list, and by the time I go to do the show, they're already resolved, like within 2 hours, which is a good thing because it means we don't have a
Yeah.
missing child. But you see that a lot, and it's the same for any other type of missing person. There's some that are done within hours. There's some that are never resolved. There's some that are a more sinister, type of motive. It just there's a, what do you call it, like a wavelength, like, a scale
And
to this,
like an element, is that what you're saying?
like a
Or
spectrum.
okay. Sorry, my frogs. I'm going in the house now. I couldn't hear.
Cheetle says, it's drawing so bad that the place is almost empty. I have no idea what you're talking about. Let me see. Yeah, the investigation into the group home, we'll see what that report brings. Hey, Alpha, how are you? Just tuning in, so nice to hear Ping. Hey, good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Marilanda says, so many teenage girls meet up with guys from talking online.
Hmm.
I don't. I feel like it's a natural thing these days for especially young people. That's sort of how they find a lot of their friends now. They find it online. It even happened when I was a teenager, not to the same extent that it does today, but it was happening when I was 15 and the internet was around. Like I met a lot of people through the internet when I was young. So I don't expect that to have slowed down these days.
Yeah, because children, a lot, well, not all children, but a lot of teenagers spend a lot of time on social media. So that tends to be, where a person spends the most time at is tends to be where you meet the most people. So if you're at work, you'll meet people at work. You're on Facebook, you're going to meet people on Facebook. You know, we all know that's how it works. And
That's
it's
why a lot of
just
workplaces have
scary.
rules
Yeah.
on, like, inter-team romances and things like that, because spending a lot of time with people in a small area often leads to that type of thing.
Right, Lee T, there wasn't the internet when I was a teenager either, thank God.
There was when I was a teenager, but it was dial up and the very early stages of broadband, very early.
We had CB radios and stuff like that.
Saturday night, huddled around the CB radio, talking to people that are across the other side of the country.
Yeah.
I heard that there was an activity that a lot of people used to do. They used to go on those, what was it, like those long band radios, and they could talk to people in like London and things like that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Jeez. Gosh, I have one. It was my father's. It's a shortwave radio. You could, people from all over.
Shortwave?
Yeah, on shortwave. And then CB radios, is what truckers had on their trucks to communicate. And we had a boat in our driveway, so we had a CB radio in our boat, of course. And so you could get on there and talk to like anybody you wanted to, but you could also get in trouble in there. So you had to be on the right channels. So like, you didn't want to be on the emergency channel, you'll get busted. So yeah.
I don't know if anyone's been following the Veronica Guthrie or Guthrie or whatever her name is. The news out of Australia yesterday was that she only had 4 days to live. And we were talking about it on my channel yesterday, and I was like, something doesn't seem right with all of this. And it come out today that no, she's not only got 4 days to live or whatever, and that she'd made a mistake by posting it.
Is that the one that accused Epstein?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we spoke about her last night. So yeah, anything else on that? That's interesting.
They're saying that she was also charged by the police just days before she put out that social media post. I'm just trying to find out. So she had breached a family violence restraining order in the days before making that post on social media. It was 10 days before the crash, which left her with 4 days to live. Yeah, a spokesperson for Veronica admitted on Wednesday that she had made a mistake and was not dying and had not intended to publish the post publicly. Well, I question, who exactly were you trying to tell that you only had 4 days to live?
Right. I knew something was fishy with that because 4 days to live due to kidneys. Well, they have dialysis that can keep people that need a transplant typically alive for a very long time while they wait for a transplant. So I'm like, what? They're not going to do anything? Just let her go? It sounded very strange.
I always thought the photo looked weird. The photo of her in hospital, the one where she's saying she's lying in a bed. Yeah, I can put it up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
It looks photoshopped to me. And the reason I tell you that is part of it is on this side of the head, what would it be, the right side to you guys. All this bruising doesn't look 100% correct. And you see on her left eye here, there's color bleeding underneath her eye. It's like the pupil is that color, and then it's bleeding out onto the bottom eyelid and the eyelashes. That is indicative of photoshopping.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just looks very low quality for something that, if you took on your phone, should be nice and crisp. It shouldn't be, this kind of sort of fuzzy, somewhat pixelated. It just doesn't look right. And I would say that it's either been manipulated or AI'd or something like that.
Right. Yeah. I didn't go that deep into the photo, just the story just didn't add up to me. And right here, like Rachel says, exactly. We have a good friend that's been on dialysis for 18 years. My husband had an uncle that was on dialysis for years. And yeah, that really made me question it. Yes, the Prince Andrew girl, Deb.
It sounds like to me she may have been trying to manipulate someone within her family. And the fact that this family restraining order that she violated happened a few days before the bus crash tells me she's either emotionally blackmailing someone
Hmm.
or, I don't know, trying to get out of something. I'm not sure what it is, but could be
Right.
either of those two things.
Yeah, the devil's in the details. And like you said, there was that family situation before this. So,
So I'm not sure what's going on with her, but
yeah.
um, like I don't think it makes it any better when you're like, but I only meant to send it to my family. I don't think that makes like. Do you think that excuses you from doing what you did? Is it okay to lie to your family because it's your family? I don't think that makes it okay either.
No, that makes it sound just worse because that means you were intentionally trying to, you know, trick somebody, you know.
Manipulate someone, yeah.
Yeah.
So that looks like that's probably just about over. Because the other thing is, police in her home state of Western Australia came out and said they didn't have any record of a crash between a car and a bus that would cause the type of injuries seen in that photograph. And they said that they did have a crash between a bus and a car, but it happened at fairly low speeds, and that no one in that crash was really hurt that much. And in Australia, most crashes, if they're serious enough, are mandatory reported to police and logged. So if you get in a crash like on a highway or something, they will take record of it and it'll be put on the national or state statistics for crashes and things like that.
Well, just the condition of what she looks like in that picture, you would think that would have an ambulance would have been called in that situation for
Yes,
sure.
definitely. Definitely.
Yeah,
I think you would be rushed to hospital if you had that much sort of like internal bleeding. These bruisings look like fractures. It just, yeah.
exactly. I agree. Yeah.
So I think we found the ending to that particular story. I
God.
think she was talking rubbish for some reason. All right. Let's see what else we have. Let me see what else I have on my list of stories from the crazy people of the world. That's what I like to call half of the world. No,
Yeah.
let's see. All right. So apparently, this was a story I had for my channel, but I'll do it on here since we're streaming to both. In Cedar Rapids in Iowa. Now, I know we're on the other channel, so normally on my channel, I don't give people a trigger warning because I just say, hey, it's true crime. There's
Yeah,
crap
go.
details
It's
in all
fine.
the true
Yeah.
crime. So it says here, court docs. Murdered Cedar Rapids woman was pregnant. Body found in a shopping cart, and they have arrested Donnie White over it. They said here there could be graphic details. They
Mhm.
say a Cedar Rapids man is accused of beating a pregnant woman to death and wrapping her in a comforter, stuffing her in a shopping cart, and leaving her a couple of blocks away, according to new court documents. The woman, her name was Brittany Hopkins, was found at 2110 Westdale Drive Southwest on February 28th. An autopsy found she had died of blunt force trauma or blunt force injuries to the head. Like they said last week, U.S. Marshals arrested Donnie White, 51, of Cedar Rapids in Las Vegas and charged him with first-degree murder and non-consensual termination of a pregnancy for Hopkins' death. They said he was extradited back to Iowa and has been formally charged, meaning a criminal complaint has been filed, revealing new details of the alleged crime. That criminal complaint said police got a tip when Hopkins' name was released publicly that White and Hopkins were together the day before she died. Surveillance video captured the two together at a U-Haul moving and storage facility in the Westdale parking lot. They say other security video near White's apartment shows a subject pushing an empty shopping cart into the apartment complex, then 15 minutes later leaving the back of the apartment with a full shopping cart. The cart with Hopkins' body inside was found about a block from White's apartment. They say police searched White's apartment and found blood splatter on the walls, a large spot of blood on the carpet with large bleach stains, a hammer with hair and blood on it, a broken CO2 gun with more blood and hair on it, and a bloody handprint investigators say belongs to White. That is horrific. I just want to see if we can find anything else on Donnie White out of Iowa.
No, that's a lot of evidence.
I think what was
Yeah.
the point in taking the body away when you left all of that?
Right?
Yeah, I'll take you to what news agency is ABC2 out of Grand Rapids.
So that happened in Michigan?
Yeah, here, we'll play the video.
Wow.
We are learning new details in the case of a woman found dead in Cedar Rapids last month. Donnie White, now accused of killing 38-year-old Brittany Hopkins of Cedar Rapids. He was arrested earlier this month in Las Vegas. Now, according to a criminal complaint, police were called to the 2100 block of Westdale Drive Southwest on February 28th. That's when they found Hopkins' body in a shopping cart, wrapped in a comforter. An autopsy confirmed she died of blunt force trauma and that she was pregnant. Hopkins was seen on security camera footage with White in the days leading up to her murder. When police searched White's apartment, they say they found marks on the floor made by a shopping cart. They also say they found blood and bleach stains. White is charged with first-degree murder and non-consensual termination of a pregnancy.
Well, topping news tonight at 6.
Well, I'm glad he's been arrested and extradited from Las Vegas, but feel very sorry for that woman's family. I don't know if they knew about the pregnancy, but if they did, it's a very tragic loss of not only their daughter, aunt, sister or whatever, but also a probably very welcomed baby that they were all looking forward to.
Yes. Now, I heard about this case when it first happened,
Yeah,
but
I
I
remember
didn't
when they were
read up
looking
on
for
it.
him.
Pardon?
I said I remember when they were looking for him
Mm-hmm.
and they had put out his name as like a bolo.
Wow. That's bad.
Rachel says he has the crazy eyes. He does a little
Oh,
bit have the crazy eyes. He does. Yeah,
he
let me show you.
does. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
see this.
he definitely does.
Ugh.
Let me grab it. Here, the photo's not great, but
Mm.
he definitely has the crazy eyes. Like he's either, spent 20 years on methamphetamine or
Oh, jeez.
possibly just killed someone.
Holy
I don't know.
cow.
He
Remember
definitely
that
has the
movie
eyes.
with DJ Quell? Well, where he goes to jail and they teach him, Eddie Griffin teaches him the crazy eyes.
Uh, yeah, I sort of remember. I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the movie.
That reminds me of that.
It does, right?
Wow.
He's taking his jail advice from like BTV or whatever they call it.
My goodness.
Wow. He doesn't have to, pretend it. He actually did it. So he killed his
Wow.
partner and her baby, which is horrific.
So she was his partner?
I'd say so. I'm just looking
Mhm.
up some further details. So he was taken into custody in late March and charged with that first-degree murder, one count of non-consensual termination of a pregnancy in the brutal slaying of Brittany Hopkins. Why don't we have a photo of her?
Right? I hate when they do that.
Yeah, I have a photo for him, but I do not. Is that her? Hold on, I'm just trying to see because I like to show people the victim. I feel like
Yeah.
so often we concentrate on the perpetrator and no one gives any respect to the victim. I don't have a photo of her, which is, yeah, I just don't have a publicly available photo of Brittany Hopkins, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah, that annoys me when they do that. Like, I know maybe the family doesn't want it or something like that. I understand. But you're giving the killer what they want in the publicity by only having their photo instead of like sort of remembering the person who died. We're sort of giving all the attention to the person who committed the crime.
Right.
Let's see. Yeah, everyone's
Gee.
like, are you all disturbed now? Should we take down the person with the crazy eyes? All
Wow.
right. Yeah.
I hear that a lot. Oh, they have crazy eyes. Okay, he really does.
Yeah, he
You
really
know,
does. I don't know what's going on. Whether he's been up for 3 nights in Las Vegas or something. I don't know.
that looks like
It
3 weeks.
yeah.
Oh, just saying.
SP Mama said among pregnancy-associated violent death, 61% were due to homicide. 55% of these involved firearms. Yeah, the common statistic that gets bandied about by everyone is like the two most dangerous points of a woman's life is when she's leaving a relationship and when she's pregnant, and you may be both at the same time. So it heightens your
Yeah.
risk.
Yes, because if you look up the number one cause, or the last time I looked, of death in a pregnant woman is homicide. So,
Well, we went through the national statistics for Australia on violent crime on my channel a
uh-huh.
while back, and we were
Interesting.
looking at like what the difference is between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
So the overall amount of murders, men are murdered more, right? But the way men are murdered is very fragmented. It's done like a variety of ways, like friend, associate, family. Like there's just many different causes for why men are murdered.
Mm-hmm.
But women may be less, but 90% of women who are murdered are all DV.
Yeah.
It's like it's over 90%.
Wow.
And that just shows you the discrepancy. Even though it's a lesser amount and men are murdered more, also
Mm-hmm.
men tend to be murdered by other men, not
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
So there's the
Yes.
discrepancy.
Yeah, because men could get murdered in a fight or something like that, whereas women, like you said, it's usually somebody they know, which is terrible. Intimately known. I mean,
What do they call it now? Intimate partner violence or whatever.
and something like that. Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
It's what
Interpart,
they
inter, interrelationship. It's something I can't remember the exact term, but you're right.
All
Okay.
right. What do we have here? You have a hideous sense of humor. Well,
What?
we'll see.
Who,
We'll see.
who said that?
Joe Neal.
Joe. I knew it would be him. Oh,
Just trying to see what other stories we have on any breaking news. I'm just having a look. Okay. Out of Sydney, Australia. This is weird.
uh-oh.
Why would this happen? I'm seeing it as you are, so they said man punches 90-year-old
Said that
man.
Qantas.
Hey, shush. They said man punches 90-year-old at Sydney International Airport. Why would you punch a
Whoa.
90-year-old?
Wow.
They said a man has been arrested and issued a no-fly ban on 2 major airlines after he allegedly punched a 90-year-old passenger in the face at a Sydney International Airport on Tuesday. They said a bystander who was at the airport during the incident, who goes by the name of James, revealed on Gold 101.7, Jonesy and Amanda, that the attacker allegedly punched an elderly man in the stomach against a window in the departures terminal around 4 p.m. before attacking a Qantas staff member who ran to the aid of the elderly man. Weird. They say here a gentleman has come into the airport of a large nature and punched a 90-year-old in the stomach right up against a window. And then a very brave Qantas member approached the gentleman to try and settle it down. He got headbutted in the head by the guy. I believe there was also a couple of other people as well. James said it took 10 passengers to jump on the attacker to bring him to the ground. He described the incident as unacceptable. Eventually, the AFP arrived at the scene and charged a New Zealand national for allegedly assaulting 3 people at Sydney Airport. They say a 37-year-old The 37-year-old allegedly assaulted an airline employee before assaulting 2 more people, according to an AFP statement on Wednesday. Yeah, there you go. A New Zealand
Jeez.
national.
Well, I sure hope there's video of it and somebody posts it everywhere to shame him.
I'm sure some
Man,
bystander video or CCTV will pop
oh,
up in the next few days of that. But
that's
I just don't
terrible.
understand punching a 90-year-old.
Really. God.
It tells me that you're a
Oh,
type of person who wants to always pick on the lower person in you and can't
yeah.
fight someone that's your own sort of, stature, height, physical
Yeah,
fitness, that type of thing.
exactly. They're too scared. They're a big wuss.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's right.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
Have you guys seen this story out of the UK of Peter Tomlinson out of Nottinghamshire? He says here he was arrested and police found more than 2,000 images and videos of his family undressed. That's awful. What the hell?
Now, I've heard of that, but I didn't go into any more on that one. I've been so tied up in other cases. Did they give any more info than that so far?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah, I can throw it onto here. They're saying
yeah.
a PDF file, because we can't use the real word, was caught red-handed stealing intimate videos of a mother and her young sons after she set up a spy cam hidden inside of a teddy slipper. They said when Peter Tomlinson, 56, was arrested, police found more than 2,000 images and videos of the family, not his family, that family, undressed and on the toilet. The single mother of 2 who Mail Online is not naming revealed her ideal has left her unable to trust anyone anymore. Her nightmare started when manipulative neighbor Tomlinson convinced the mother to install her own security cameras in the house. When she noticed that there was missing footage, she became suspicious and set about trying to catch the pervert using stealth cameras hidden around her home. She was left devastated when she found out that he had been sneaking into her home and downloading thousands of naked photographs of her and her young sons.
Oh my.
Tomlinson has previously served time in jail for child S offenses and pleaded
Oh,
guilty to a charge of unauthorized access to computer material as an alternative to voyeurism. But the mother was dealt a second bitter blow when he was spared jail, with the judge handing him a 16-month prison term suspended for 2 years at Nottingham Crown Court. And she says, where is the justice for her? And I agree, where is the justice for her? I
no
mean,
kidding.
your most private moments have been, taken by this neighbor who came in and basically infringed on your privacy and your sons. This was the secret camera that she made and put inside of a slipper and recorded him coming into the home, getting those footage.
Oh, wow. Hold on. Go back.
I'm trying to dig up some
Jeez.
more information on this guy, Tomlinson. Nope. Philip Thompson.
Mm,
Don't think that's the right guy, is it? Hold on. Sorry, guys. I saw it as we both read it. So,
hold
what's his
on.
full name?
Let me see.
Peter. Okay. You guys watch this little video that they put up here, and I'll try find some more info.
I don't think you can see the camera now because they're shining us this side because of a bag I've put in, and the camera's hidden here.
There you go. Hopefully I can stop that noise. Hold on, guys.
Wow.
Hopefully that. Let me just reboot that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is him here. Yeah, he was. This is him trying to mess with the cameras, and that's what her secret recordings captured. Was him coming into her home while she wasn't there. Texas Roadrunner says San Antonio double shooting over a cell phone repair between a customer and an employee.
Oh my gosh.
Marlene, he is indeed a rock spider.
Wow.
Hold on. Let me say San Antonio. Why would you shoot someone for repairing your mobile phone?
Man, people have been getting shot over cold French fries lately.
Yeah, I saw that there was one in
Jeez.
LA
My
where
God.
a guy got shot because he didn't like what was it? He didn't like his food or something, or he didn't get enough sweet and sour sauce or something.
Well, one of them a while back was over the French fries being cold.
What's
And
wrong with
then,
people, man?
yeah, right?
Yeah, what's this one that someone said in the chat? 2 dead in shooting over cell phone dispute at Northwest Side repair shop, according to the SAPD. They say the shooting happened in the 11,800 block of Bandera Road. That 2 people dead. Jeez,
God.
I don't know what how that would happen. They said the 2 men were fatally shot during a dispute over a cell phone at this store. The shooting happened around 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday, not far from the Loop 1604. Police said a man entered the business unsatisfied with the service done to his phone and confronted an employee. SAPD said a verbal argument between the man and the employee escalated. The man pulled out a gun and there was a physical altercation that ended with the employee being shot. In self-defense, another employee at the business pulled out his firearm and shot the man. The 2 people who were shot, described as 20 to 30 years old, died from their injuries. They said it's a developing story. KSAT will update later on. Let's watch the press conference for a sec. If it'll play it.
Before we do that,
Yeah.
oh no, you already have your screen up.
No, that's all right. I can pause it. There we go.
I needed to share Othram.
Oh yeah, do the oh yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hold on. All right. Can we play the video in the Othram one, or we're not allowed to?
Oh, you can. Yeah, play the video.
Do you want me to play the video, or you want to talk about it?
We can do both. Do the video. I really like it actually because it
All right.
explains it so much better.
Let's see if it'll allow us to full screen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will.
Across the country, investigators are now turning to a new company called Othram.
Kitsap County deputies have solved a 26-year-old cold case.
Arizona mystery is finally solved thanks to DNA. A body found in the Escatawpa River in Mississippi back in 1982 has just been identified.
Cold cases across the country finally getting solved after decades of dead ends.
Yes. As we know, Othram is a great company. They're solving cases every day that without them could not have been solved. The DNA test, which, it's not a simple cheek swab. A lot of times what they get is they get human remains. Sometimes they get articles of clothing, or once they've got DNA off jewelry to identify a perpetrator. So the DNA tests aren't as simple, like I say, as a cheek swab. They're dealing with people that are deceased. So they have to find the DNA in bones or whatever it is they're given to work with, and then try to come up with a profile with what they've got. And So each DNA test is $7,500. But like I said, it's a lot of work, a lot of equipment, a lot of people involved, and it's not very cheap. And then they do the whole genetic genealogy in house. So they do everything. They get the remains or the articles and they find the DNA, they get the profiles, and then do the research to find matches all themselves. So we ask if anybody could, if you could please donate to Othram. You can pick a case, you can give money to a specific case you would like to be solved. They also have a tab on the website where you can donate to cases in your area. So there's a section, um, and you click on it and you find where you live and see what cases are around you, and you can donate to that. Or you can do a monthly. Oh, sorry, I just got a text. Or you can do a monthly subscription. And it doesn't matter if it's $1, $5, whatever you can do to help. And if you can't do that, we just ask that you please share the link on social media or with family or friends, anywhere you could possibly share it. There are people out there missing their loved ones, and there could be sitting in a morgue somewhere unidentified, and these tests will help bring them home. As well as think of all of these missing persons cases that we all deal with daily, and those missing people might be there waiting to be identified. So this could solve, these tests can solve a lot of missing persons cases. So I'm going to throw their link in chat, and if you're interested, we'd really appreciate anything you can do to help. You can even go through Optum to donate your DNA. You can see if any of these people are related to you. Thank you. You can share the video now.
You know, I think if you don't understand what Othram does, a really good representation. There's a couple. You can listen
Thanks.
to David speak at CrimeCon in 2022, 3. He did a panel at one of them. He did it with
Yes.
Paul Holes. That one's really good. But the one that came out recently was David and Kristen, and they're on 2020. It's called
Yes.
like the Puzzle Solvers or something like that. But it was a couple of weeks ago on 2020. That gives you a great overview of the type of work they do and how extensive it is. Like they take you a walk through the lab that's down in Houston, and they show you all the machines and
Mm-hmm.
like I remember he pointed out one. He's like, "Oh, that's like a $400,000 machine or something." He's like, "We got 4 of them." Like it costs mega money to do what they're doing, and they try and charge the cheapest price they
Yep.
can to get the information to police and families and things like that. Bring back people's names. So
Yeah, and the fact that, a lot of times there are companies, they will do the they'll create, find the DNA and do a profile, but then it stops there. And the rest of their work is subcontracted outside, or somebody has to go somewhere else to do the genealogical research. Author does everything in house, which saves them money, in turn with and then the fact that they can just do it all. But yes, and that equipment isn't just expensive, it's expensive to run that equipment as well. So,
and it's always changing too. I
mhm.
think like any other type of tech, the companies that make these devices and lab equipment, they're always improving what they have. And to stay at the cutting edge, it probably means that they have to constantly replace equipment with the newest version that's instead of 100 times, it's 400 times, and
Yeah,
it's more sensitive, and they can do this, and it's faster. And so they probably have to constantly evolve their equipment.
that's true. And it's also an area that they'll never stop learning, so they're always going to have to take classes and teach their workers new stuff, because things will always keep improving, changing, you know. So, yes, Marilyn Landis, Trisha did show us Inside Author when she visited, and that was great. I really enjoyed that.
She needs to go back again. She needs to go
She's
back.
planning on it. Yeah.
That was a interesting trip to Houston. That was that the one where she got stuck in the snowstorm?
Oh my gosh. Which there's so many times, I'm not sure.
I know there was one time she went away and got stuck in a snowstorm and couldn't make it home.
Right. I'm not sure. I keep thinking that was in Utah, but I don't know because something always happens with Trish. The
Yeah,
poor
did she
thing.
make it to her current location okay?
I think so. She just texted me and I didn't ask her that, but she's okay. She's
Well, if she
texted.
texted, then she's okay.
Yeah.
Unless someone stole her phone and can type like she can, and then we're all in trouble.
Her response to what I said last, it was definitely her.
Okay. Yeah, so I love Othram. By the way, Dave, send me a hat and a t-shirt. I'll wear it on my channel every night.
Hmm.
Um, the work they do is extensive. I don't like I know a little bit about what they do, and it took me 3 hours to work through like one little bit of research that they do, and they're like, yeah, we do this every day, and we do like 400 cases a month, and I was like, what is the brain power here? Like it must be overwhelming.
Right. I mean, everything involved in all the moving parts. They have to deal with law enforcement. They have to deal with so many people. And then also you've got Kristen out there. They're trying to get funding. They're trying to get more cases to them, because they want to help so much. So there's really so much going on. It's not just DNA, quote. There's so much more.
I can't remember the state it was, whether it was Missouri or Mississippi or something. But I remember that they said that they ran through all the cases they could in like half a year or something. That they've completely tapped out that particular state. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of these cases have been sitting there for like 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And they were
Right.
just like, done, half a year, finished, we're done.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And one of the cases, God, well, there's so many, but that one case I always think about that they did was the Carla Walker case. I mean, for so long, that was such a mystery, and it had such an unbelievable story. For those of you who don't know, Carla Walker was a young girl. She was with her boyfriend. They were parked in a car, I believe, and Carla Walker was pulled out, raped, and murdered. And the boyfriend said he was knocked out, that he had no idea what happened. Now, of course, that's a story a lot of people wouldn't believe, but here comes Othram, and after so long, and did the DNA, and it turns out it was a total stranger. The boyfriend told the truth, and her case is solved. And that is so amazing. Not only is it solved for everybody involved, but it also got that freak off the street. So,
I can't remember that one, but the one I always talk about with
mhm.
Othram is the one where I don't think it was even a murder or anything, but there was a truck crash, and the truck crash caught on fire and killed the two people that were inside of the truck. They knew who the male was inside of the truck because he worked for the trucking company, so they knew who that was. That there was a female skeleton or remains found in the truck, and for like years they had no idea who this woman was. Obviously, he'd picked her up along the way, and Othram, even with the burnt bones that had been charred to almost nothing, they were able to find a DNA profile from it and return her name to her. And that's the one that stays with me. It's not even a homicide, but it's the fact that her family finally got to know what happened to her and were able to bring her home eventually, after many years of just not, no idea what happened to her. Just she disappeared, but she didn't. It's just that no one knew that was her.
Exactly. And that's what we mean when we say all these missing persons cases, so many of them can be solved. And they have been. Think on web sleuths. Think of how many missing people there are on there. Some of them can be solved just through this DNA testing. For example, right now we're trying to get people to donate to Canton John Doe. And have you heard about that one? Ping? The Canton John Doe is, a man was faking his death, and we don't know who he picked up. He got somebody, put him in his car, set the car on fire, and so, you know, people thought, it was him. He was trying to make people think it was him anyways. But of course, DNA testing proved, well, that's not the guy. I mean, he came out, sorry, it wasn't DNA testing. They found out the guy was alive. So then they're like, well, who was in the car? And now they're trying to find out who was in the car through DNA testing, because the man hasn't said who it was. So there's around $684 so far for that case. So I put the link to that in chat if anybody wants to go read about that, donate, or share the link.
Yeah, there's heaps of good cases on there. I think they're even going to start doing more international too. Now that they have that partnership with places like Australia, might even see more stuff from over there.
Yeah, that one they did in Australia, that skeleton that had been in the water for 90 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they signed a partnership like 2 years ago with the AFP to work on unsolved cases that had basically been tapped out. There was no other investigative work they could do to them in Australia, so they handed them over to Othram.
That's amazing. And there's something a while back, I keep meaning to bring this up on the show, but Paul Holes mentioned, I was so glad Paul Holes discussed this when he did his Ask Me Anything on websleuth.com. Because a lot of people know this, and there's a lot of people that don't, and the DNA testing has proven it, is that one-off killers. So many times when people are murdered, they think, well, the perpetrator, it's someone who's done this before. This isn't their first time. But this DNA testing has revealed, because you catch more killers this way, that there are one-off killers. People that will kill somebody just once in their life, never do it again, have never done it before. And that was kind of a phenomenon a lot of people didn't think was there, but it is.
Oh no, I think there definitely is.
Oh yeah.
I think you still have to look at their offending structure though. I'm sure that they were still offending in their younger years, but maybe just not to quite the same degree.
It's, it depends. See, it depends on what kind of murder it was. For example, was it a Scott Peterson murder? Think of that. Say killing your wife because you have a mistress and you want to leave that wife to go for that. That's usually a one-off type thing, unless somebody's a woman's a
Unless you
black
got
widow.
multiple
But
mistresses.
you're right. So typically that type of murderer is only a one-off killer, or a family annihilator. It's like a one-time thing. It's not, more than that. Unless, of course, you watch a stepfather movie. That's a different story. But yeah,
No, but I'm
yeah.
sure he's offending. Like we know a lot about Scott Peterson. His offending just morphed, right? So like he was abusive to her throughout their relationship, and it just always the end thing with the abuse is to end up killing the victim most of the time anyway. And yeah, I would say that's what I mean by the previous offending. So
Yeah, and
we
then
got to catch him early.
like Chris Watts, and and you have so many of different ones, people that have murdered to keep somebody quiet. They only are doing it because they need that person to be quiet. So,
Yeah.
for whatever. But
Chris
yeah.
Watts is in the place where he should be, which
Yeah.
is jail.
Yep. Oh yeah. And Moonlight View says what creates the monsters, and as we know, they have learned so much about that in the last 20 years. It's not all the cliche stuff that we've heard about and repeated for 30 or 40 years. There's so much more we've learned. It is a combination. That's why nature versus nurture is such a debate. is some of it's environmental,
It's
some of
multifaceted.
it's organic, some of it, you're born, there's just something wired a little differently, and that's why there's families that, and we see it all the time, families have, a few children, only one of them turns out to do horrific things and the rest are fine, you know. It's a combination of things, and that's the big thing. It's not just that, finding, they've, like I said, they've learned a lot, but it's, say it is abuse, and for a certain person it's all about, okay, but how do you regulate people's homes so they don't abuse their children? So it's stopping them from being created is the issue. How do you get people to get their children help when they need it if they have mental health issues? We can't police every home. We can't force everybody to do these things, and that's the issue.
There you go. Keep funding people like Othram to help with that, so they can continue their research. Leisha says, "Did you see Plunder posted a current video of Nicole Kessinger? She gained like 80 pounds was at a funeral." I did not. Did you, Stacy? Did you see that?
No, I don't watch that channel, so no.
Yeah, I can't say I saw it either.
Yeah.
Bipolar said it will never happen. Well, I don't know. I guess if you asked me 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, if there was a company like Othram, I would have told you were dreaming. But seems like we're running through cold cases like it's going out of fashion right now. It's like every year that list gets longer and longer. What did they say they were up to? How many solves? Over 500 now, right?
The last, remember they did the 404
Or
error
something,
shirt?
yeah. But it has to
Yeah,
be over
so
500 now.
yeah, definitely, because just the first week in January they'd solved 7.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think they must be getting close or already past that 500 mark. So that's
Yeah.
500 cold cases that otherwise we're just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
And they've been able to solve them.
Yeah, that's why I love their shirt. They have 404 error, like the internet error you get, because there's 404 cases. If you go look for those unsolved cases, you won't find them anymore because they're solved now. So you won't find them under unsolved. So
One day they'll make a movie about those too. I'm sure of it.
oh yeah, I think so. There's so many movies, great ones on, like the case in Britain. I think it was the first one they used DNA to identify a killer. Something code, I'm trying to think of code, I can't remember the name of it. And then there's a new one recently called Breakthrough about another team that used DNA a long time ago to identify a killer and stuff. They should
Stacey,
totally do one on Paul
if they
Holes.
ever make a movie,
Uh-huh.
do you know who I think should play Dave?
Who?
It should be Paul Rudd.
Oh my God. That's true. They kind of look similar.
Doesn't he look like sort of like the Hollywood version of David Middleman?
Yeah, it's very similar. Yeah.
Just need a pair of glasses.
Uh,
That would be so fun. I can't figure out one for Kristen, but I'm sure there's a
Somebody
lovely,
beautiful, because
yeah,
she's
someone beautiful
gorgeous.
and super
Yeah.
smart.
Smart. Yeah. Because she is a scientist as well.
They
So
both are. Yeah.
yeah. That's why I said as well. I know he is for sure. You better
No,
be.
but
No, I'm
if
kidding.
you've ever heard their story about how they met, I think
Yes.
it's so charming that
Yes,
they
it
met
is.
in university and working on projects together. I think it's a love
Right?
story for the ages.
It is. And they have 5 children and they're doing all this amazing work. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know where they find the time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I went to college full time, a full load when I had 3 kids. And then eventually I was pregnant with my 4th. But I wasn't sitting there doing DNA and solving cases. I was just going to school. I don't know how they do it.
Me either. I don't understand how they run that giant company, have a family, fly all over the
Yeah.
world, do interviews, do 2020, do sit down things with other people, talk to investors, talk to police stations. I'm tired just naming them. I need a nap now.
I know, right? And they're such good people too. They really are.
Yeah, they're very nice people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been other tries at this, and they just
Mhm.
haven't worked out to the same. They've been successful, but not to the same extent. And I think that's where you show that rocket fuel growth with Othram is that
Yeah.
they started off a little slow, but then they just poured fuel on that fire and off and racing now. Off and racing.
Yeah, their determination and their passion, and that's what's carried it through. For sure.
All right. I think we're done for the night, my friend.
Yeah.
That's it. We'll
Sounds
be
good to
back
me.
tomorrow, though. I think we're going to be back tomorrow for another one. And if I clean up my desk, we can turn on the camera tomorrow.
Oh, that's funny.
It's because we don't normally have this view. Hold on, maybe I can change it slightly. Yeah, there we go. See, I am here. Hey, good to see you all. It's when we have it on the big screen, the view's terrible. Like you can see all my stuff here. I got like pens and notebooks and other books
Oh,
I'm reading and
how
crap over here.
offensive. No.
So yeah, we'll definitely be back. I think tomorrow night for another show. By the way, we never figured out what this strobing is. This strobing thing on my camera. We're gonna have to figure it out. Everyone's like, "You've got a fan," and I'm like, "There's no fan above my head.
That's what I was
There
just
is
gonna ask. Is it a fan?
there's no fan here."
Oh, that's just weird then. Trisha had that blue light from her charger. Now you have this.
Isn't it trippy? It literally looks like a ceiling fan, and there's no ceiling fan there. So we're not sure what it is, but it just
Yeah.
appeared on Sunday. Maybe
No,
the camera's damaged or something. We'll look into it.
that's so strange. Oh, you manimal, I'm gonna say thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. We'll see you soon. Probably, I think maybe tomorrow we'll see what the gods of this channel have to say, and then yeah, more true
Yeah.
crime. Yeah, we did install a new bulb, but I wouldn't think the bulb itself would cause it, but maybe.
We'll switch
It's the
bulbs and
refresh
find
rate of
out.
the internet camera or the light. Could be, maybe then. Hold on, let me check the camera. Do we have a refresh rate? No, that didn't help. No, that didn't help either.
You
I
might
don't
have to
know
take
why.
out the bulb and see.
Yeah, we'll have to get a new light bulb and see if that works.
Yeah.
No, there's no filter on the camera. All right.
I'm gonna say thank you to the moderators so much for being here tonight. I saw Alicia Gallegos, Moonlight View. We have Uda, Four Sons Mom. We really appreciate all your help. And Pink,
And
thank you so much for being here with me tonight.
you're welcome. You're welcome. We'll do more true crime tomorrow night for everyone.
Awesome. Okay, so get a good night's sleep, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Good night.